Hello everyone and welcome to Plus Side, where we break down each month's free games for PlayStation Plus members and help you decide if you want to play it. I'm Sam.
And I am Mason, and today we're going to be breaking down the games for the month of January 2024.
Before we even started call time, I was like, I want to make this show where we talk about the free games of the month, because, I don't know, I feel like I click the add to library button every month and then never actually took the time to, play them.
It's always like, it's that thing, we all have PlayStation Plus because we have to if we want to play online. But it's
right, yeah.
This series is kind of like encouraging us to stretch outside of our comfort zone a little bit and play games that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise played. And I'm sure plenty of people are wondering, like, hey, is this worth my time? Because you've already spent your money. Like,
yeah.
Is it worth my time?
Before we do get into talking about this month's games, I do want to make sure to remind you, if you don't want to miss a future video, please subscribe to our channel so that you can see when we have new videos coming out. We'll be releasing one of these every month, but there's going to be gaming content, all kinds of other stuff coming out, other shows coming out on the Call Time channel.
All right, so let's get into it, yeah?
Yes, let's do it. Let's start with Plague Tale.
Let's start with Plague Tale. Let's get into it.
So Plague Tale is a sequel to the positively received survival horror game Plague Tale Innocence. In Requiem, we join Amicia de Rune and her cursed brother Hugo 6 months after the events of the first installation. The siblings, along with their mother and her apprentice alchemist Lucas, have traveled through France to seek refuge with a group of alchemists known as the Order, and look to find a final cure for Hugo's supernatural illness. The game plays mostly mission to mission as a stealth puzzle game, while you avoid mercenaries, soldiers, and plague-ridden rats. A lot of rats.
Wait, rat?
Mason, how did you feel about Plague Tale?
Dude, you know what? Okay, let me talk about what I really liked first.
Sure.
I think the very first thing that I noticed, I think anyone notices playing Plague Tale or its predecessor, is like, this game is beautiful. It is gorgeous. Yeah. Like, graphically, they were cooking. They were cooking something real good. The world is extremely detailed. You can just tell that they really took their time with it.
Yeah, the first scene when you're in that open field with the castle in the background, like, that really set the tone positively for the game for me. Mm-hmm. I thought, oh, this is really nice to look at. The references to war, like, Hugo is super on, like, he's like King Hugo and commanding things, and you have to, like, use a slingshot on the acorns in the water, like, protecting his land. It was... That, I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. Why am I hitting acorns? But, like, the opening was, like, it was a nice, like, tone setter. And then so that for them to suddenly rip you into, like, you are exploring this abandoned area, and all of a sudden you're watching someone die, like, a lot. And you're like, this is a lot.
The tone shift is hard. I remember the first mission that you get into that it really, like, it flexes its horror muscles a little bit, is, like, that abandoned city within the city.
The first rats were ridiculous. That, like, it's when it's like a horde of them coming through that grate in, like, the basement. I literally, I had notes when I was like playing the game the first time, and I just wrote, the rats are fucked. And then my next line of note was, like, so fucked.
Like, so I was
fucked. Like, it's so messed up. And then the way they just, like, stare at you and they, like, can't get to you because they're afraid of the light or whatever, it's intimidating. It genuinely is intimidating. You don't want to walk into the wrong area.
Yeah.
And
I will say, like, credit where credit's due. Another thing that brought me into this world was, Sam, you might disagree with me on this a little bit, and
we'll see.
The voice acting from the main character. I really actually enjoyed her performance.
You're saying specifically from Amicia.
From Amicia, she had this, like, visceral fear in her voice that brought me that sold me on the setting.
Okay, so I know why you're saying that you think I might disagree with you, and you're right and wrong. I agree that her acting is good. It's not like it's bad acting. It's the amount of whispering she does that was irking me so much. I was sitting there as she's just going, they're right over here. We've got to be careful.
Right. It must have gone down the hill. Move fast. Unseen. Careful. You can do it.
I was like, get out of my ear. Like, also, shush. They're, like, standing next to you, and she's going, we must be quiet. And you're like, oh my, like as if they're not hearing you. It's just so much whispering. But I agree with you. I think that the acting is good. Also, the mother did a really good job. Mm-hmm. I was really buying into that character as well. Did you play the first game, Mason?
No, I did not. This is one of those games that I would never have touched if it wasn't for Plus Side. You know, I think that's kind of the beauty of it too. I heard so many good things. I mean, you know how backlogs get. They just get crowded with so many different experiences and stuff falls by the wayside. So it's not like I was averse to this kind of game. It just never came across my desk in a real way. my desk.
That's fair. I was reading something about it when I first saw the game came out. I wanted to know, do you have to have played the first one to play this one? And I want to be able to answer that question for the people watching as well who haven't played the first one and want to know that, whether or not they can play this one without having played the first one. Mm-hmm. I personally feel, and I don't know if you have a different opinion, Mason, that this is missing something not having played the first one. Oh. There is so much lore at the beginning that I'm like, what am I missing? Or that character development of the relationship between Amicia and Hugo is undeveloped for me. It's coming in the middle of this story, and all the articles I read said, no, you don't have to play the first one. You'll have just as good of a time. I don't think that's true.
We are totally on the same page. Yeah, okay. Going into this game, they hit you with so much relationship that is, like you said, you're jumping in halfway through, but also like the world is really, really well established from the first game. So you will be like confronted with danger and secret societies and intrigue and all of this stuff. Like, makes total sense if you play the first game. But if you're just jumping in, I mean, it kind of feels like you're reading the first chapter of a Brandon Sanderson novel. Only a couple people are going to get that. You're just inundated with information that is a little bit overwhelming if you haven't experienced the first game, or at least watched like a YouTube video.
Yeah, I don't think it's unplayable. I think for not having played the first one, there is so much building upon new stuff. Like that, I know that they're in a new area. They've traveled somewhere else. The order is new. The development of Hugo's like abilities and like his curse is new. Like the way it's resurging. Apparently they had kind of fixed it the first time. Spoiler for the first game, whatever. It's been years. Now like it's coming back and he's had these dreams and this is all new stuff. So it is new. It just, there is that element of like, I'm always asking myself in the back of my head, am I missing something? Yeah. Did I miss something? And then there's the aspect of, I think it is also a little bit like tough for me to review as well, because I know there are significant changes from the first one to the second one as well. I know they changed combat and abilities. In the first one, Amicia does not like kill people. Like she, like not until like the end of the game does she actually like take a life. But in this one, you have a knife. Like you can pick up heavy knives and you can, take some people out.
You can kill people in this game.
Flaming crossbows, like you can, there is brutal ways to take people out. The focus isn't on combat, but there is that combat option. Yeah. Mason, in the first one, if a guard caught you, you are done. Like the second they touch you, you're dead. In this one, Amicia can like defend herself, push them away, and then run away and live to tell another story. Yeah. If I'm thinking about playing this one with those old factors, I would actually like this game less. I think if there was no combat, there'd be huge like drawback if I'm just like, oh, stealth to stealth to stealth. Some of these stealth missions are hard.
I want to talk a little bit about the stealth and the gameplay and the puzzle stuff of this game. The beauty of this game is kind of the last thing that I like about it. It's where it stops. Like for my money, the gameplay is just way too linear. The fail states are way too unforgiving. Even though, you do have a little bit of wiggle room.
No, you don't, because you get away from the guard, and then that guard is locked onto you for the next 10 minutes. So you have to, like, if you're even trying to then be like, all right, now I need to get these rats out of my way, that guard is coming for you still. It's tough. And then you have to go back 10 minutes. You can waste a lot of time in these like linear missions.
For me personally, I think I'm spoiled by games like Dishonored or even Prey. One of my favorite games. Shout out to Prey. I'll always shout out Prey. They have this more open-ended sandbox approach to stealth, which I think is way more immersive, because I really feel the consequences reverberate out the rest of the mission. If I screw up in A Plague Tale Requiem, the worst that's going to happen is I have to go hide for like 5 minutes until the guards stop looking for me. And that gameplay is just not exciting for me. Or
it's not.
Or I just, quote unquote, die or get captured and I respawn to a checkpoint anyway. For me, that approach is just a little bit too prescriptive, and I found it to be a bit of a turnoff. You have a very narrow tool set at your disposal to solve a specific problem. And if you can get past that, you're fine. But if you get stuck or if it's not exciting, then I just kind of feel like it's a slog.
Yeah, there's not a lot of creativity in the way to get around certain puzzle elements to the game. There is like a route. It's a game category, but it's not for everybody. I think it's not for both of us.
It wasn't for me for sure. But I will say, if you're the kind of person who like enjoys like a slow burn puzzle stealth game, or if you love the first game, like you're gonna fall in love with this game. You're gonna adore it. It is a true sequel.
All right, that I think is a good deep dive into Plague Tale Requiem. Yeah. We'll leave it up to you to decide what you feel or not, or if you want to play it or not, based on what we said. So I'm recommending you don't need to. Is my idea.
Yeah, like how many pluses? How many pluses we giving Plague Tale?
How many pluses would I give Plague Tale? I think honestly, if we're out of 5, which I don't know if that's what our scale is gonna stick to, but as for our premiere episode of Plus Side, I'm gonna say if I'm giving it out of 5, I would say this is a 2+ out of 5.
I was gonna say 2.5 plus out of 5.
Nice.
Just because.
So we're at an average of 2.25 pluses out of 5. Shall we move on to game 2?
Let's move on to game 2.
Evil West. So Evil West, a third-person PvE shooter. That's player versus environment. For those who didn't know, I didn't know.
For the layman,
I honestly thought it was players versus everyone until I read this. I went, oh, player versus environment. Evil West puts players in the boots of Jesse Rentier, a vampire hunter in the American Wild West. Using his family company's technology, which is a gauntlet capable of bashing its way through skulls and generating an electrical output that will give you a front row seat to your enemy's skeletal system. He also carries an armory of weapons that will have you blasting through vampires, werewolves, moth demons, and a slew of supernatural enemies. Ooh. This game is interesting. It is.
Yes, dude. Evil West is what would happen if you took those like cowboy shooting galleries at fairs. You just like paint it with a funhouse horror coat, and then you hire your extremely enthusiastic local theater troupe to play the characters.
The characters in this game are ridiculous. They're fun. They are fun.
I mean, they're just so cheesy.
It's the dialogue too. It doesn't do them any favors, but it's like when the actors were reading it, they went, well, I know this is ridiculous, so I'm just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the game knows exactly what it is, and it's all done with a big wink to the audience. Not in an overt way, like some games do it, like a Deadpool kind of wink to the audience, enough so that you feel like you're on the roller coaster a little bit.
It is very much a roller coaster ride of a game.
Yeah, let's talk the combat for a little bit. I really enjoyed the combat. I thought it was like fast-paced, frenetic, punchy. It had just enough depth that I was always interested in what my next power-up would be. Not so much that I felt like, okay, this is a system that really offers a lot of flexibility and mastery. Like the combat sandbox is kind of limited in that way, but it was just straight up a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, and the level of gore as well was like not over the top in that way where it's like off-putting. It was like, it is a good balance. That combat is super fun. I do agree with you though that the branching of it is super limited. I think there is enough variety at first, but they give it to you all at once. Like it's you have all your abilities and your combat options really quickly. The upgrade system, the skill tree, just kind of upgrades each of those things, but doesn't change the way it plays. And I think that's where they could have probably made an adjustment to have it be a little bit more fluent and give it some more variety, is like spread that out or provide some more like customization to each one instead of it just being like, here's everything you can do, we'll just make it better as the game goes, just in terms of stats, like so you can keep up.
Yeah, I from like hour 2 to hour 10, I really didn't feel myself playing the game that much differently. I totally hear what you're saying, but I did feel more powerful, which I guess.
Yes. And if you want to feel extra powerful, you just turn on the auto aim mode, because then.
You can turn that off? I had no idea. For those who are curious, this game you have a bunch of different weapons. You got your gauntlet. You have a pistol. You have a shotgun, a duck and roll, but
a rifle.
Yeah, the rifle. When you take out the rifle, it will just snap to the closest enemy And hell, when you punch something, you snap to the closest enemy. I feel like I had to be only within 5 feet of someone and my hits would connect. It does not take a whole lot of skill. I feel like combat was at its best when there was like a variety of enemies on screen. So you kind of had to juggle, okay, I'm going to dash to this person, I'm going to beat him up for a little bit. Okay, there's a bunch of enemies behind me, so I'm going to tuck and roll, boomstick the other guys. Okay, there's a imp up in the sky, I'm going to shoot him down. But where the combat kind of fell off, Sam, I think you'll agree, is the boss fights. The boss fights are some of the spongiest boss fights.
The first boss fight, there is no extra enemies. It's just you and this big boss. And all you have to do is circle around the boss while they're firing things at you that will not hit you because you're just constantly moving in a circle, and then you just keep clicking your shot button because you also, again, have unlimited ammo, so you don't have to worry about that. You have no conserving of resources. You're just like, oh, let me just keep firing from a distance because they are not coming anywhere close to me or any close to hitting me. So you just go in that circle around the enemy and you just keep firing. What makes it annoying, you can do that, and that's fair, fine, cool. The boss battles are easy. They have so much health that you're sitting there circling them for 5 minutes. Just like, all right, I'm whittling away. Eventually, like one of the boss battles later, they start to add the like squishy enemies in the middle of it. So you're like, oh, I actually have to pay attention to other things real quick. But I just take out all of those in my regular old fashion and then go back to circling the boss. And so it kind of becomes super repetitive, really, really easy. Honestly, like it's like base default settings was a little bit too easy for me.
For everything this game does well, you can find an example of another game that does that thing better. Sure. Like this on-rails kind of roller coaster horror vibe. That's like Resident Evil 4's bread and butter. It's hard because I find myself comparing it to other games, and I want to take it on its own merits. On its own, you can have a ton of fun with this game. You really can.
You can do. It's very mindless. If you want to just have like a mindless, like, I'm just going to punch some things, like, go for it.
I don't know. It is like the MCU of video games. That's what it feels like to me.
That feels very generous.
Okay, well, I guess
I'm
not a huge MCU guy, so.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I love the MCU. But I guess I hear what you're saying. Begrudgingly, I see your point. There are things that I wish that this game would do, like, I wish you could switch characters. Like, you've got Edgar, is a great character, different style. He's like big on like long range shooting. Maybe let me switch. Like, I don't know, like do like some duo, like you can like switch between the two characters and do different things depending on who you're playing as, different abilities or something like that. I thought that's how the multiplayer was gonna go. Yeah. I honestly thought that when I joined in on your game that I was gonna be playing as Edgar. I thought, oh, this is cool. This will be cool. I'll get to do something different.
And then you just see 2 rentiers. Turns out this town is big enough for the 2 of us.
Yeah, that's what that. 2 Jessies in one town is yeah. They said it was okay. Okay. What's your one-line review for Evil West?
My one-line review for Evil West, from its highest highs to its lowest lows, I really enjoyed it for what it is. I think if you take it at face value, you're gonna have a good time. It's got satisfying combat. It's simple yet consistent progression. And oh my god, the over-the-top story and the characters, we didn't really get into it, but like it is a wild ride and it's just a blast. It made me feel like I was in an amusement park. And I think for some people that is going to be just what the doctor ordered.
I feel like that might have been a 3-line review, but
okay. Well,
I would say for me, overall the game is fun and the combat is enjoyable, but it does lose steam pretty quickly, and the staleness of the levels and goofy cutscene writing falls a little short from packing as big of a punch as the Rentier Gauntlet.
I like that one.
Pluses. How many pluses are you giving it, Mason?
I'm gonna give it 3. I'm gonna give it 3.
Mason, you read my mind. I was gonna also give it 3 pluses. That is an average of 3 pluses.
3 pluses.
It's easy math for me to do today. Okay.
All right.
Let's move on to game number 3.
All right. Nobody Saves the World. It is a top-down ARPG with all the satisfaction of Diablo, but none of the gore. You play as a useless little nobody who happens across the wand of a great wizard, and your job is to take his shape-changing power, rid the land of evil, and watch as the enemy health bars satisfyingly melt away. This game is oozing charm from top to bottom. Big Saturday morning cartoon energy from this one. It is just
That's funny. Yeah.
They absolutely nailed the world and the characters. It's the same people who made Guacamelee at 1 and 2 made this game, and like those people don't miss. It's a really, really fun and energetic, joyful game. It also delivers in the gameplay department too. I thought the dungeon crawling and the build craft, for me it took a second, right? I spent the first couple hours I played this game kind of like, when's this game gonna start popping off? But once you unlock a fair few forms, and especially once you get the option to customize those forms, this game starts flying high.
It explodes. It really does. I honestly would argue that I didn't feel it started too slow for me. I think it's just like to each their own on that. As the game was starting, I was so enraptured by the art design, the sound design. The soundtrack is so fun. I was so distracted by all of that to me, I was like, I don't care that I have only a rat right now. The dialogue is hilarious. They do such a good job with making it cheeky, but serious. Like you care about the story, but it's so ridiculous. The lines. I think
really
that
does.
charm is exactly right. I think that the game is super charming. Mason, I think you should speak a little bit more on the build craft you're talking about, because I don't play a lot of dungeon crawler games, so this was not something that I was super aware was super unique to the game.
The core conceit of this game is that instead of just having like a barbarian or a wizard or a monk or a witch hunter or whatever, there are what is it, Sam? Like 15 different.
There are 15 forms in the
forms.
base game, and then there's additional ones in the DLC, which I did not get to play into, but I did unlock all 15 forms. I got to play those. Not to brag.
It's not like your classic fantasy stuff. I mean, some of them are, but some of them are like a rat or an egg or a zombie, a slug, or a horse. You could be a damn horse, and that's really
Robot.
Cool in and of itself. So you get
Mermaid.
Mermaid.
There's so many forms, and they're ridiculous, but they're so unique.
Yeah.
And the ability lines for each of them are super unique. You get like passive abilities, and then you have your main attack, and then you have a couple of special attacks.
Yeah.
And then what you were talking about,
Yeah.
Mason,
And-
which you
yeah.
pointed out to me was super unique, was
yeah.
that you can, and you mentioned this earlier too, the customization, where you can take from each of these abilities, you can completely customize the characters. You can add up to 4 passive abilities. You can add 2 extra attacks, and you have like these completely customizable characters.
Yeah.
That, like, it's really, really, really well done.
I remember when I got into that cave with the sentient hammer for the first time.
It's
And
funny.
I love that guy. And he was
I
like,
haven't gotten to the end of his storyline yet. I really want to know how to help him. I want to help him so bad.
but like he's, I remember when he said, "Oh, you're gonna have to customize your class." I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean?" Take the charge from your horse and put it on the rat. Oh my God! All of a sudden, your brain just starts going with the thousands of possible combinations of different classes and
So many
abilities that you can slapdash together. And I think that's the thing that really makes this game unique and complex and like endlessly fascinating, is that build craft that you can cobble together.
And it's not just that you can, it's that there are missions where you have to.
Yes.
Not missions that will progress you in the game, but there are certain dungeons that it's super helpful. There are these side missions where you kind of have to get creative and think, okay, what do I need to combine to do
I
this?
feel like people will look at this game and they will see this almost childlike presentation, and they might write it off as like, kind of whatever experience. Sam and I are here to tell you that this game is entertaining beyond measure. It is complex in a very surprising yet satisfying way.
There's so many different like surprises in this game that it just comes out of nowhere. It really, really takes you by surprise. Nobody Saves the World. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Mason, do you have a one-line review for this game?
Okay, let me keep it short and sweet for you. Nobody Saves the World is a brilliantly crafted, complex, and satisfying ARPG that is oozing with charm, and I can't recommend it enough.
I will say that I found myself absolutely lost in this game, from the artistic design, the killer soundtrack, and sound design, and the joy of unlocking new and fun forms. Nobody Saves the World was a refreshing take on a dungeon crawler. Pluses for Nobody Saves the World. I am going to give Nobody Saves the World, I'm going to go 4 pluses.
4? I think that's where I landed too, like a solid 4.
It is a strong, solid, glowing 4. The pluses are shining. Yeah, so that was our our 3 games of the month for January.
Yeah, all in all, like a really good month for PlayStation Plus. There have certainly been months that are way weaker than this. I know we were a little critical on the first 2, but this was a solid month.
I think I almost want to change my answer for Evil West. I think I put it more at a 2.5.
Oh, really?
But it's too late for me to change. I'm thinking back to I don't think I'll ever play that game again. So that would only move it down to a 2.75 anyways. So that's okay. I still stand by it. And with that being said, if you're watching this, which if you're hearing me say this, then you are, let us know in the comments if you do play any of these games, which of them you like the best and how you feel about them. Let us know. Tell us your feelings. We want to hear what other people have to say as well. Overall, Mason, do you think that it was worth it this month to spend time playing the games as a whole? This is not individually, because obviously we know we're telling people to play Nobody Saves the World, but as a whole, is it worth PlayStation Plus this month?
Yes. I would say yes. I got plenty of enjoyment out of the games. I did look on some of them with a critical eye, but that doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy my time with them. I think especially if any of this, qualities that we've mentioned tickle your fancy, you're gonna have a lot to love in this month of PlayStation Plus.
It's a very much user's choice kind of month. I think this is if that's your vibe or if that's your category of game that you kind of like, then go for it. Play these games. To me, I really want to say no. I want to say no so bad to say it's not worth it this month, but Nobody Saves the World carries this month so hard on its back that I have to say yes. I cannot let Nobody Saves the World be in a no month. So I'm gonna go with a yes, only for Nobody Saves the World to have its platform. That is January 2024. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. Let us know, again, which is your favorite in the chat. Give us your predictions. What do you think's coming out in February, or what you're hoping for?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. This is a brand new thing that we're putting on the channel. We're a young channel. We're like just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And this is just one of our spaghetti strands, but it's a spaghetti strand that I personally am really excited about, and I know Sam is too. And
yeah, I'm super excited about spaghetti.
Super excited about spaghetti. And we would love to continue this and watch it grow and change and improve over the course of time. So thank you so much for tuning in. And
don't forget, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and go follow us on Twitch. And join us on our streams. We stream on Wednesdays and Saturdays, typically. So keep an eye on our schedule and see what's going on. We'd love to have you around and to see what's going on. All right, thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.